Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Spider-Man Miles Morales figure unboxing and review video. Now today we are going to be taking a look at Miles in his 2020 suit. This is a really out there design for Miles, and yeah, I'm pretty darn excited to take a closer look. But before we do that, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and a points-based reward system. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button for more info on Justin's Collection Plus, the channel membership. As for the box art, yeah, it's really striking. We've got an image of Miles, a render from the game, not the actual figure, plus the Spider-Man Miles Morales logo and his name down below. The entire box is done in this stunning metallic finish. On the back of the box, another image of Miles plus all of the warnings. Then, if you slide off the top cover, you're greeted to a bunch of product shots, plus a read-up down below. Now, we don't often get read-ups with Hot Toys figures, so feel free to pause to read. We do also get a sneak preview of the figure inside. Now, this is a pretty special release for the company. Not because it's another Miles figure, but because this is one of the first figures that I'm aware of that comes with a USB power supply built in to the back of the figure. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how all of that is going to function. First in-hand impressions for Miles though. Just like all of the other Miles figures, yeah, it's pretty positive. What we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all the parts and pieces. Starting off with the display base first, it's done in the usual hexagonal style. Up front it says 2020 suit, up top Spider-Man Miles Morales. Then a bunch of different colors and geometric lines and patterns printed on the surface. Up top we do have a dynamic flight pole, plus a spring-loaded waist clamp. These do tend to dig into Spidey's suit over time, so please, if you're using this, be careful. We do get the usual suspects when it comes to Spidey's webbing. The funnel attachment that simply plugs onto the longer web strands, the spooled up web, which you all know is my favourite. It slots between the top and bottom parts of his closed fist, and it looks like he's grabbed on to a bunch of his spooled up webbing. You also get this plate with the right angle webs, some longer strands, and some smaller ones with a rounder end. For my absolute favourite accessory here, we've got this little pre-posed advanced suit Spidey figure. It's meant to be one of the holograms from the training simulations, and yes, he looks suitably holographic, cast in translucent plastic. I like the choice of colours for the blue and the red, slightly more muted and very see-through, plus the fact that they've painted the eyes, the Spidey logo, front and back, and the little details on his hands and gauntlets. Now you can remove the stand, because this guy does slot onto the diorama backdrop. You will see that a little bit later. Instead of having swap-out lenses for Miles to emote, this time they've gone with swap-out faceplates, because after all, he is wearing a helmet. These simply slide on, they're painted in high-gloss black, and the eyes have been left blank on the inside so the light can pass through when you switch on his LEDs. You've got the normal eyes which come on the figure, the slightly more squinted ones, and my favourite, which is this very whimsical expression on the left here. You do also get a micro USB cable to power Miles. Hot Toys, I love the fact that you've done USB powered figures, but in saying that, micro USB is kind of dead. Please, going forward, consider using USB Type-C. Lastly, we do have the full array of Spidey hands, including closed fists, wall crawling, and thwipping hands. Now the thwip hands do have the swap out palm plate that you can plug a web into, and it lines up really nicely with the web shooter which is permanently attached to the glove. That means every single hand will have its own web shooter. The gloves themselves are nicely sculpted and painted, there's a ton of texture here, and I love the translucent red fingers. There is also some color banding, so it kind of looks as though he does have some web lines integrated into those translucent red sections. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that, I cannot get over how good this looks. The easiest way to describe it is dope. The suit is fully textured from head to toe. He's got the USB light up effect, which is something I hope to see from Hot Toys going forward. Be gone button cell batteries. Now you do have to have him plugged in and wired up all the time. More on that though in just a second. The suit is fully detailed and I love the red and black color scheme. Then we get to the helmet. It's not super classic Spidey, but I think it works with the overall aesthetic here. It's something very out there, but it's absolutely going to help this guy stand out in the display. Here we have him up close and personal. In just a second, we're going to dim the lights, plug in the micro USB cable, flick that switch, and try out the light up effect for the first time. Yeah, I'm really excited to give that a go. But before we do that, we have to discuss this helmet. It's very cyberpunk, it's very Daft Punk, and I love it. Around the side, he's got some integrated headphones that say Miles Studio, plus the cable that works its way down to his tape deck. It's simply magnetized to his hip. It also says Miles Studio, and the little screen says 2020. A nice touch, because of course, this is the 2020 suit. Now, the helmet itself is made up of multiple different pieces. You can remove this clear outer layer, and then you have access to the eye plates. These can also be switched out, but without this on, the eyes are a lot more visible. The only issue now, though, is that the head sculpt does look a little thin without the clear outer layer, so it's going to have to be up to you. Do you want to display it without the outer layer so you can see the eyes a little bit better? Or are you going to have this guy plugged in permanently, and then you won't really have to worry about it, because those eyes are going to be a lot more visible. The jacket looks absolutely incredible. You've got this gold and red spider logo on the back, it's all made of fabric for this back panel, you've got some more gold and red detail for the top of the sleeves, plus that little S that I'm pretty sure everyone has drawn at least once. On the inside, some more red and gold, plus a little zipper and a couple more around the front here. Now, these aren't actual zippers, but they look super real. They're printed rubbery details on the surface. Well done, Hot Toys, you convinced me. I thought these were real zippers. Now, the drawback here is that the sleeves are pleather. The grain looks good, the color looks good, but seeing as though it's pleather over a rubbery undersuit, it is going to be a little bit more restricted when it comes to range of motion. You can see a little bit of that texture from the suit poking out underneath, and then of course his fingerless gloves with those translucent red fingers. The suit underneath is made of that rubbery style material that they've used for all the other Miles figures, and it works great here too. There's a bunch of different textures at play, there are some red sections, there are some knee pads, it's all integrated into the main suit. Then we come to the chest area and there's this super high gloss section. This is the piece that lights up with the USB powered LED, and it looks awesome. It's super vibrant with the red and it kind of looks like an old school screen with the Spidey logo front and center. And you can even make out some very Miles-esque red web lines up the top here. It's something that I didn't know how good it was going to look in person, but now that I'm seeing it, yeah, it absolutely works. Now, normally Hot Toys would have a double ball peg inserted into the boot, but that's not what they've done here, and it's a little bit peculiar. There's a foot underneath, and this rubbery shoe has been slid over the top. That means there's a slight air gap, but you are still going to get maximum range of motion, including toe articulation through the rubbery boot. There's a ton of texture here. I like the red around the front and the speckling on the sides. Plus that little blue logo, it's a nice pop of color. On the underside, some translucent soles, also done in red. That looks incredible. But of course, for the moment I'm sure you've all been waiting for, as I have, I really want to try out the light up effect in low light. Here we have it, and I think it looks really good. The main screen section for his upper torso is clearly visible, and so too are his eyes. But let's be honest, we don't usually display our figures in dark or dimly lit environments, we have them in bright cabinets. So I'm also pretty curious, what does this guy look like with the lights turned on? They're actually still pretty visible, but not as visible as they were in complete darkness. Now, around the back, you do have to have the USB connected permanently, and it is a rather thick cable, so I'm not exactly sure how people are going to do cable management. Maybe you can run it along the back of his leg and hide it just a little bit better in the display. Before we move on, I did very briefly want to try out Miles, fully plugged in and illuminated, standing in front of his backdrop. I love this. All of the glitched out screens, the little armatures, the real wires, plus that awesome little holographic advanced suit figure. Yeah, this comes together beautifully. Now, if only I had more room in the display to actually use this, but I'm sure those of you out there who have more room than I do will place this thing front and center in your PS4/PS5 Spidey collection. Now, for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have all of the current video game suit Miles figures standing together. And yeah, they look really cool as an ensemble. My favourite is still the figure on the left, followed by Bodega Catsuit, with 2020 coming in a very close third. It's not that I don't like him, it's just that the design is so out there. Maybe I just need to give it some time and it's going to grow on me, but either way they all stand at the exact same height, and the outfits are made of a similar material. So if you have one of the other Miles figures, then you already have a pretty good idea of how easy or tough this guy's going to be to pose. Just going over articulation. Now bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I am willing to go. Now, starting off with the helmet, it is on a double ball peg, looking up and down, swivel, and pivot side to side. The arms will go up on super clicky ratchets to there. They will go forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down, double bend at the elbow, swivel at the bicep, and of course a regular 1/6 scale wrist peg. The torso will crunch forward on ratchets to there, going back to there, swivel and pivot side to side. The legs do go forward on softer ratchets to there, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee that does get you way past 90, a double ball peg down here for the ankle, plus ratcheted toe articulation. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing has to do with this dome cover for his head sculpt. If you remove it, his eyes become immediately far more visible. Now I understand they've used this frosted piece to show off the LED light up effect, but if only they could have combined the two or made this slightly more translucent. When the lights were off, he would just look a little bit more alive. The second annoying thing is that the sleeves on the jacket are very clearly pleather. I'm worried about longevity. How long are they going to last? Because this grain and texture does feel a little bit more fragile. The third annoying thing is that the shoes are separate to the foot underneath. That means there's a bit of an air gap, so when it comes to posing and balancing the figure, yeah, it's just a little bit more tricky. The first cool thing, of course, is the USB-powered light-up effect. You plug him in with a micro USB cable, you connect it to a power source, flick the switch, and his chest and eyes are fully illuminated. It's a really cool effect. It means no more button cell batteries, but at the same time, it does mean you have to have this guy permanently connected to a power source. I thought there was an internal rechargeable battery, but do weigh in down below. Do you prefer to have your figures permanently connected, or do you prefer to charge up a battery and then just be able to flick the switch independently of this cable? The second cool thing is a really small one, but it's the zippers on his jacket. Yes, you heard that right, these tiny little zippers. They're not actually real zippers, these are printed rubbery pieces on the surface, but they look super realistic. Hot Toys, you've done an amazing job with your zippers here, so yeah, I thought it was worth a mention. The third cool thing is that there is a little magnet embedded into his suit that holds his tape deck. It simply attaches on there, and even if you get a little bit more dynamic with the posing, you can simply pop it on after you've dialed in the pose, and then it's locked in position. Wrapping up on the 2020 suit Miles, based off his appearance in the PS4/PS5 video game. Now, this isn't one of my favourite suits for Miles, but it definitely is different. It comes with an awesome diorama backdrop, and for the first time that I can recall, a USB-powered light-up effect in his chest and head sculpt. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't charge up like I thought it was going to. You do have to have it plugged in permanently, and that means a super thick micro USB cable dangling out of his upper torso. That's something that you can absolutely work with some clever cable management. But as I said, it's not quite what I was expecting. The light-up effect is really cool, and the fact that you can have it powered permanently, yeah, that does still check a lot of boxes. Now, he doesn't come with a ton of accessories, but I reckon that big diorama backdrop more than makes up for it. He also has interchangeable faceplates, a fairly decent level of articulation, bearing in mind the suit is rubber, so you have to be slightly more careful. I am worried about the pleather on the jacket, but for now it looks excellent. This guy will stand out, but depending on your personal preferences for what you're looking for in a Miles figure, I wouldn't really recommend this guy as your only one. If you do want something that's going to complement your normal suit Miles, then yeah, maybe this guy is a good option. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and a points-based reward system. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.